Hello everyone, welcome to the day 7 of Frontend Mentor Challenges, and today we are going to create a newbie challenge which is also free. So this is the challenge we are going to complete today. Huddle spell landing page with a single introductory section. Okay, let's just get started by clicking it. Now we can start the challenge. Let's download the starter files, then open up the zip file. Okay, once we done that, we can extract this in the desktop here, and then let's open this up by the Visual Studio Code, and also let's open up the image of the design. This is the design folder, and this is the desktop design, and this is the active status. So this got this pinkish background color on hover, and also this one. Okay, this is the mobile version. So I will go to the VS Code and let's open up the index.html. We need to clean this up a little bit. So we don't need these stylings here, and okay, we can also remove the footer. So this is our text. This text we need to put onto these things. So what I'm going to do is I will create a container div which will contain all of these things, then maybe a wrapper. So in this we can use something like display flex or something like that. So this image will be at the top, then we can put this in a div, then put it after each other like using a flex. So let's just create the markup first. Container, inside this there will be a wrapper. At first let's create a div with the name of header which will contain our image tag, which is the logo actually. Images and logo.svg, this is the one. After that let's create another div, maybe with a class of main, because this is the main section. So inside this main div we got two items. There will be an image at the left and there will be some text at the right. So let's add that. We can create a div with the class of maybe hero image which will contain the image here. It's in the images folder, then illustration mockup.svg. So after that let's create another div which will be hero dash text which will contain all the text. So we got a title here, then some paragraph, then a button. So I will put the title inside an JSON tag. After that let's create an paragraph tag, then an anchor tag. It will be blank for now. So let's get the text and paste it here. This is the paragraph and this is the button. Now we are done with the hero text and this main section. Now we need to add this button. Actually this is the social share icons, but the thing is they haven't provided us with any of the icons. So what we can do is we can use the font awesome icons. So let's import that. This is the cdnjs.com/libraries and font awesome. Let's import this all.minify.css. Let's click the copy link tag and we can paste it here. Okay, we are done. So now let's use the font awesome icons. I'll just create a div with the class of social, and inside this let's use an anchor tag and use an font awesome icons. So it is a brand, so FAB, then the first one will be the Facebook. So FA-Facebook-F, Now let's just copy this and get the other icons. So the second one is the Twitter and the third one is the Instagram. So it will be the Twitter and this one will be the Instagram. Let's save and open this up by the live server extension. This is what it looks like. Yes. So let's now create an CSS file, style.css. We need to link this up with the index.html. Let's do that. Link CSS and it will do the rest. Okay, now let's open up the styleguide.md. We need this. So at first we need to give this a background image and the color. But before that, let's reset the padding to 0 and the margin to 0. Now it doesn't have any default margin and padding. We can also import the fonts. So for the headings it will be Poppins and 400 600 font weight. Let's open this up. So we need the 400 regular and 600 which is the semi bold. We also need another one which is for the body. It will be the Open Sans. Weight will be 400. Let's also grab the regular 400. Now we can import both of these with the CSS. I will paste it here and let's also grab the font families. So I'll just paste it and comment this out for now. We'll use this whenever we need it. Then let's target the body and give this the background image and the color. Okay, let's fix it here and target the body. So for the body, let's give this a minimum height first. So it will take the entire viewport height, 100 viewport height. Then let's give this a background image and it's in the images file. The spelling is wrong. Images and bg desktop.svg. Let's save and this is how it looks like. It is actually repeating itself, so let's change it. Background repeat will be no repeat and also the background size will be covered. Now it will look good just like the image. Also it got this background color. So they have provided us with the color which is this violet. Let's give this a background color here. Okay, now it looks like this. Now what I'm going to do is I will give this container div a maximum height so that it can be at the center and it also got some gap at the left and right, because otherwise in the ultra wide display it will look very bad. So let's target the container here and I will give this a maximum height of 1320 pixels. Also we need to make this center, so margin will be 0 and auto. Now it is at the center. Fine. Also we want to give this a height of 100 viewport height, because as you can see this is taking the entire viewport height. So after the container, let's target the wrapper. What we can do is we can use and display flex here to align all these things. So I will give this a height of maybe 90%. So this 90% will be 90% of this 1000 viewport height. After that, let's apply the display flex, and this is what it looks like now, because by default the flex direction will be row, but we don't want it here. We want the flex direction to be column. Now they appear after each other in a horizontal line, actually vertical line, not horizontal. Let's make the justify content space between. Now it looks fine. So we need some gap right at the top and bottom. So what we can do is we can apply padding here. So let's do that. Padding top and bottom will be 40 pixels, but from left to right it will be 0. Also, let's add a margin. So this margin will be applied whenever the display size will be smaller than this 1320 pixels. Now it doesn't have any gap at left and right, so we can apply an margins here. So at top to bottom we don't need any, so 0, but from left to right let's give this 2 rem. Now for a smaller size display it got this 2 rem gap here. Okay, now let's target this Huddle image here, the logo. So I think this is pretty small than the actual one, so I'll just reduce the size a little bit. It's inside the header image. Let's give this a height of maybe on 90 pixels. Okay, it looks fine. Also, let's give this a padding at the bottom. We don't need any padding bottom now, but for a smaller viewport height it will be congested with this image. That's why we need to give this a padding bottom. So after the header image, let's target the main, and we need to apply a display flex here. So now it looks like this. Also, we need to push it at the center with the image. That's why I am going to use the align items. Will be center. We also need some gap between the flex items, so we can use the gap here. So let's give this a gap of maybe 40 pixels. Fine. Now let's decorate the titles and other text here. So if you see the style guide, this is the heading, so it will have a font family of Poppins, and this one will be the body. So open sans. So let's target the hero text and icon. Let's give this the color of white. After that, let's actually we need to get it from here. It's the Poppins. So I'll just grab it and paste it here. Now the font has been changed. Actually, I think the size is also similar with the design, so we don't need to do anything with the size. But what we can do is we can give it a margin bottom to create some gap with the paragraph text. Let's give this I think 20 pixels will be good. Now let's target the hero text and the paragraph tag. We need to change the font to open sans. Let's make the color to totally white, so table F. We can also add a line height to create some gap between the lines, not the line style, line height. Okay, let's try on 0.8, and I think these gaps will be good. Also, we need a margin bottom to create some gap with the button. Everything is fine. Now let's style this button up. So it got a background color of white, also a box shadow, but whenever we hover on that it changes. The text color will be white and the background color will be something else. So let's target the hero, text and the anchor tag. At first let's make it display inline block. After that, I think this is actually the Poppins font, so I'll just grab it here from here and paste it. So the font has been changed. We don't need any underline text decoration, so text decoration none. Let's give this a background color of white, also some padding. So at top to bottom let's try 30 pixels, but from left to right maybe 50 pixels. It looks great, but this is kind of rounded, so I will add a border radius with that 25 pixels. It will be rounded. Let's also add a box shadow here. Actually got the values from Figma, so the values will be 0, 8 pixels, 17 pixels, minus 8 pixels, and also let's try an RGBA. So this is going to be a black color, so 0, 0, 0, and then the opacity I will use 0.8, which is the 80% opaque. Now we got this nice box shadow. Let's also add a transition effect here. Transition all 0.3 second is okay. Now let's add a hover effect with that. Hero text A, and we need to change the background color. I think they have provided us with the color soft magenta. Let's grab this. Also the text color will be white. Okay, this is how it looks like, so I will just add the hover now. Okay, it looks similar. So the hero section is done. Now let's move on to the social section, which contain the social share icons. So this is kind of at the right side. So you can actually do that by giving the social div a text align of right. Now they're at the right side. Now let's target the social and the anchor tag and I. So these are the icons. Let's give them a color of white. Also you can apply font size with the font of some icons. So let's try 18 pixels. It will be a little bit bigger than the previous. So now I will just add a position of relative, because we are going to use a pseudo element to create the circles, and we are going to give them the position of absolute. Now let's try the social A and give them a margin at the left side to create some gap between each other, like 2 rem. Now we give this a margin left of 2 rem, so each of these icons or the anchor text will have a margin at the left side, but for the first item we don't need any margin at the left, right? So we can actually exclude that here. We actually need to do that because for a smaller display it will create a problem whenever we want to create this at the center like this. So we want to exclude the first one, right, the first child. So we need to add a not and first child. Now the first child here is the Facebook icon, and it doesn't have any margin left. The other two will have a margin left of 2 rem. So there are 3 childs in here: first on, second on, and third on. This is how it works. Okay, now let's create the pseudo element with this icon tag. So social A and I, let's use an after pseudo element. We cannot use before. I will just show you how. Okay, if you see that this is the I of the font or some thing. So if we see that it already got a before pseudo element here, and it takes it contains the actual icon. If you just uncheck this, this is the Facebook one, this Facebook icon will disappear, as you can see. So we cannot use the before pseudo element because it is already occupied, but we can use the after pseudo element because this is totally for our use. Content and blank. After that, let's give this a position of absolute. Let's give this a specific height and height like 40 pixels. Height will be the same because we want a circle here. So at first we need to ensure a square. Let's give this a border of 2 pixels solid and height. Let's add a border radius of 50% to make it completely center. Now how I select the position is I just put a left like 0 pixels and bottom also 0 pixels. Now we can go here and use the inspector tool, the depth tool. Let's select the after pseudo element and decrease the value of the left to make it center. Also the bottom one. I think this looks better, so I'll just copy this too and replace it here. Now we got the perfect position, but there is a single issue here. The second and third item got some gap in between, but the first item and the second item doesn't have any gap. So what I'm going to do is I'll just target the second item and then give this a margin at the left side. So this is the Twitter on, so let's target that. Social A and the number of child, so this is the second child and we want to give this a margin at the left side. So the before it was 2 rem, I'll just give it to maybe 4 rem. Now they got similar gap between each other. Now let's talk about the hover effect. We want to, okay, this is the color, so we want to change the color of the border and also the icon on hover. So whenever we hover on the social and the anchor tag, we want to change the color of the icon. So color, I think this is the soft magenta, hopefully. Okay, now the icon color changes. We also need to change the color of the before after pseudo element. So social A, I, and when you hover on the icon, we want to affect the after pseudo element. So we want to change the border color here. Let's paste the color and it does look good. So now let's add a transition effect with both of this, all 0.3 second. Yes, let's grab this and apply it also with the icon tag. Okay, let's apply this with the icon tag. There was a mistake here or issue. Actually this is not transform, it is transition. Now it is fine. So this does look like the actual style or design. Now let's talk about the smaller size display. So I'll just open the inspector tool here and try with the smaller size height. So up to this it looks good, but from this viewport this is actually looks like kind of constricted and this is much wider than this and it doesn't look good. So what I'm going to do is I will add a media query for this 1440 pixels and take care of the image. So let's add a media query, media only a screen and max height. The max height will be 1440 pixels. Now let's target the hero image, then the image, and give this a height of 100%. It will solve the issue a little bit. Okay, now it looks fine, but from here it again looks very bad. So we can break up this flexbox, the main section, from this 768 pixels. So I'll just grab this and create a copy of this. Now in this case it will be 768 pixels. Whenever the display height will be smaller than 768 pixels, we want to change the main here and change the flex direction to column. Now they will appear after each other like that. Okay, so we also want to align the text at the center like the style of the design. So let's make the text align center here, the text at the center. If you want, you can also reduce the font size here a little bit. I think we should do that. So let's target the hero text and the icon. Let's reduce the font size to like 26 pixels, little bit smaller than the before. Now let's talk about the socials. They are at the right aligned, so we can grab the socials and make the text align at the center. Now they are at the center, but we also want to add some margin at the top. So let's give 50 pixels and it has some nice gap. Now let's talk about this button here. This is kind of wider than the previous one and also narrower. So we want to change the paddings. Hero text and then the anchor tag. Let's add a padding here, 10 pixels for top to bottom, and for left to right let's increase it to 70 pixels. And now it looks better as the design. So this is our project and it is looks good for every display size and height. So this is totally responsive. If you want to see this project and with the course, I will upload this in the Codepen. I will leave the link in the description below, so go and check that out. So this is the today's challenge, and tomorrow we are going to complete another challenge. Until then, take care and goodbye. See you tomorrow.